You know his name.
There are many other songs she could have chose than The Boy Is Mine. Why do they deserve the grace? They're the ones that got on national television and involved themselves in a cheat mance. So many rumors continue to swirl around Vince and his girlfriend Kelsey, Vince and Morgan. Who is Vince texting? Who is Vince not texting? So many rumors from this cheat mance and the cheat man stands of Vince and Morgan that Morgan has had to go on social media and tell some of her own stands to calm down. But yesterday was pretty messy. First, Vince seemed to delete all of his pictures of Kelsey on his Instagram, speculation being that this might have actually been the end of their relationship, even though they've seemingly been together in LA for over 2 weeks now. Since the game ended, they have been together. So do I really think that they spent 2 weeks together after the game just to break up in the end? I don't know if I buy that. Some think maybe Vince deleted the photos to put Kelsey out of the spotlight from everything going on, from the Vince and Morgan song and dance out there, which is also a possibility. Or Kelsey could have wanted them deleted herself for various reasons. Maybe it's just typical Vince mind games, but the more Vince doesn't answer questions, the more Vince hides from being involved in a cheat mance on national television, the more of the spotlight that gets shined on both him and his girlfriend. You know, that's kind of the way things work in this modern society. But then things got even juicier when, towards the end of Morgan's stream on Twitch last night, she apparently likes to dance and sing along to some music. But one of the songs she decided to sing along to was a very interesting choice. It was Brandy and Monica's The Boy Is Mine, which is, of course, a song about Brandy and Monica fighting over the same man. And one can take from that Kelsey and Morgan have been wanting to fight over the same man for the past month and a half now, especially after all of those Option 1 talks so early in the mornings on the Big Brother 27 live feeds. It was just a very interesting song to pick with the timing of it all. Because for hours on Twitter yesterday, all of Big Brother social media was talking about Vince deleting Kelsey's photos from his Instagram. Was that the end of Vince and Kelsey? Did they break up? And so for Morgan to then get on Twitch and sing along to that song specifically last night, after the news all day about Vince and Kelsey, the timing was very suspect. People were going to read into that after the timing of it all. So that was, of course, all over Twitter last night. So today, Morgan got on Twitter and said, and I quote, "So listening to 90s, 2000s music turns into question mark, question mark, question mark. Phew, let me get off this app and continue to mind my business. I encourage everyone to learn how to separate people's lives from one another for real." And she is right, but there's no fun in that. But also, I mean, I kind of get it. Morgan was listening to 90s and 2000s music because that's our era as someone the same age as Morgan-ish. But there are so many others 90s songs to choose from. If she really was listening to specifically 90s and 2000s songs last night, there are many other songs she could have chose than The Boy Is Mine. Not Too Close by Next, not Waterfalls, not even Pony, but The Boy Is Mine. It's so on the nose with the news about Vince earlier that day. And then to get online and complain about it today, when it's really, most Morgan and Vince stans are also Morgan stands themselves. Like, this is the reason why Morgan and Vince are popular after the show. It's because of the cheap man's angle and because it has some showman stands in a tizzy. And so, of course, it's the funnest thing for some of us to talk about after the season has ended. My thing is, you can't cry about it now. Because if Morgan and Vince aren't going to give us real answers to all of our questions, why do they deserve the grace? They're the ones that got on national television and involved themselves in a cheat man's. They're the ones that did it. So no, I don't feel sorry for all the crying afterwards now. That's starting with Morgan. As much as I do like Morgan, I really do like her. And I like her game, but still don't like when you get online complaining about something that you involved yourself in. Another interesting nugget of info is that Vince and Keanu text each other a lot, apparently. Keanu was doing his Rob Has a Podcast appearance, and Vince even texted him during that. So we know already that Vince has texted Lauren and Zach in the past. Now we know he texts Keanu, but not Morgan. Is this the truth, or is it what Vince and Morgan want us to believe? I think some would get off Morgan's back about this if, A, these weren't some of her own stans that are talking about it all day on Twitter, but B, if she didn't go so out of her way to yap about Vince's game and defend it and say that she wants to play with Vince again, but then in the same breath say he ghosted her, it made the dynamics even more awkward. And so time will tell, but one thing is still for sure. Morgan and Vince made the last month of feeds great, and they are still the two we all want to talk about. I think it's the lack of closure that is making us want answers. Vince holding up and staying quiet and saying nothing to the public about everything leaves people with more questions than answers, which we as a society don't like. So we'll see what the next chapter has for Vince and Morgan and their cheap man stands out there. What news will drop next? But I still gotta say, Morgan singing along to The Boy Is Mine after the news that Vince deleted all of Kelsey's pictures, it does seem suspect. It seemed like it was on purpose, either as a way to keep people talking about them, to once again make her look kind of desperate for Vince's attention, or maybe they really do be texting each other low-key. Maybe they have already had an option one conversation in texts, on the phone. We probably still won't know until Vince decides it's time to come out of hiding.